In 1889, a famous case revolutionized a little bit, but a lot, also the court system. This is the story of RIGGS versus PALMER. There was, once upon a time, a rich grandpa. His name was Francis PALMER. He had sons and daughters, the Riggs and the Prestons. And then he also had a niece. He also had a nephew, Elmer PALMER. Now, Elmer one day starts thinking that Francis doesn't want him anymore in his will. He's pretty certain that at this point he is in the will, but that shortly thereafter he won't be any longer in the will. The grandpa is rich, and so Elmer decided, well, let's kill him. What do you do in that case? Come on, that's logical reasoning, right? Let's kill him. Now, Elmer was found guilty, sentenced to second-degree murder, and will spend the rest of his life probably in jail. Now, this is the story of Elmer. But wait a second, where's the money? This is important because now the grandpa is dead, but Elmer still has the money. In the law, there is nothing at this point in time about Elmer now receiving his inheritance. So, is that right? Will and should, must well should, because this is a legal case with a philosophical question. Should Elmer get the money? Okay, so I did run a little survey here, and everybody was like, no, he shouldn't get the money. And that is eventually what it ended up to be. Elmer should not and did not get the money. Why? Because the judge, Justice Earl, said, well, listen, in the law, there is nothing about you not being able to inherit this money, you not being in a position of inheriting this money. But it is what you did that shouldn't allow you to inherit the money. Specifically, what is the equitable principle, according to Dworkin, is this idea that laws are very general. Yes, they are very general, but we have to think, when there is not a specific law, we have to think about the intention of the legislator in writing that law and applying it according to what would look like a rational principle. The rational principle is that you should not profit off that money, because that money comes from a crime. So if you commit a crime, you should not profit from the earnings of that crime. Now, there is no specific law, so at that time the justice gives us some examples. I want to say, number one, an example that he mentioned is this idea, which is actually an historical fact, that a long time ago in Italy, specifically in Bologna, which you would consider northern Italy, there was a law where everybody who spilled blood on the street would end up in prison, would get punished. But at the same time, barbers were also surgeons. And the idea, what happened is that barbers who would perform minor surgeries that weren't that helpful sometimes extremely helpful, but barbers who would perform that and accidentally spill blood in the street in order to save someone's life would not be punished. But hold on, I was still talking about the fact that a law has a different application. There's not one univocal situation in which you apply the law, and the law is not the sacred word of the Bible or the Quran or whatever other religious text you want to refer to, that we should apply that rigorously. By the way, not even the Bible is, it depends on which religion and denomination you are, but even the Bible is not necessarily interpreted by the Roman Catholic Church in a very, very rigorous way. You know, there's a leeway and there's a sense of allegory, but let's leave that aside. So the idea is that you would have a general principle, right? And then you would apply that principle even when there is not a specific law. But doesn't this give the justice too much power? This is what another judge wrote in his dissenting opinion. And the idea is not to really, I mean, the judge is judging a specific situation. This is not a universal principle. It's not that every time you would have, you know, the sort of the gist of this situation, but different terms. You would not consider the different terms, the different situations, the different people involved. That is one possible reply. But it still remains the fact that perhaps we are punishing PALMER twice. Why? Because one is going to end up in prison, rightfully so, because he has killed the grandpa. But two, he will also be punished because the money were his. And here the judge will say, no, they weren't really. This money would have been, perhaps, maybe, who knows, belonging to PALMER only when the grandpa died. And possibly when he died out of natural circumstances, or anyway, when PALMER would not be implicated in the death of his own grandpa. And so this idea is that you're not really punishing somebody twice because the money weren't his. I want to think about this, right? Because there's always a sense of right and wrong, right? That it's impressive because so many things are much more complicated than right and wrong, and I'm not trying to justify murder or anything else here, but so many things are just way beyond that, right? For instance, I don't know, some other religions and philosophies like Shintoism will not have precisely right and wrong, but will have purity and impurity. So it's interesting how in real life we do think sometimes that we can get away by hurting people, by doing something wrong, or we might just ignore what is the wrong thing, what is the right thing to do, and pursue our own self-interest. But when it comes to the law, we're always ready to judge other people because that doesn't involve us, but involves this sort of like childish, but in the best possible way, childish, bipolar, bipartisan, dichotomical sort of reasoning that there's always something that is right and something that is wrong. But that is ideas just thrown out there. So guys, I'm gonna stop right here. Please let us know what you think. Comment below, you already know this. And if you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Your support will be and is appreciated. Alright, I'm gonna talk to you very soon. Bye!